Let's go ahead and try writing our own query in SQL view. I would like to find all of the orders for our wind harvester products. Now, before we get started writing, we need to make sure that we understand what the names of our tables and fields that we're going to be targeting are. Let's go ahead and go back up to Database Tools and choose Relationships. The tables that I want to use in this query are the Products table and the Orders table. These two tables are joined based off of this Product ID field, and we can see that it has the same name in the Products table and the Orders table. The fields that I want to see in my query are the Order ID and the Product ID from the Orders table, and from the Products table, I want to see the product's name. Now, for this particular query, we only want to target products that are wind harvesters. So how are we going to filter that? Let's go ahead and close the relationship screen and take a quick look at our products table. In order to target just the wind harvesters, we're going to take a look at this category field here. If I use this drop-down menu here, we can see that wind harvester is one of our product categories. So we'll use this as a filtering criteria. Let's go ahead and say cancel to the screen, and we'll close the products table. Now I think we're ready to go ahead and start writing our query in SQL view. In order to do that, we'll go to the Create tab, and we'll choose Query Design. Here I'm going to close the Show Table window, and I'll change my view to SQL view. Now the text in SQL view comes in pretty small, so let me make one small change so that we can see this a little bit easier. I'm going to go to the File tab and go down to Options. Then I'm going to go into this Object Designers option and find in the Query Design group this font size here. I'm going to change this up to 16. Let's go ahead and say OK. And it doesn't update our query right away, so let's go ahead and close the query and start a new one. Create Query Design. This time I'll close the Show Table window and switch back into SQL view. Now we can see a much larger view, which I think will be easier for you to read. Now when switching into SQL view, Access automatically starts us out with the word select and the closing semicolon. The semicolon needs to stay at the end of our code. So I'm just going to go right before it and enter down a few lines to move it down the screen. The select clause is where we specify what fields we want to see in our finished query. And we specify them by giving the path from the table to the field. In this case, we want to find the order ID, which is part of the orders table. So I'll type in orders.orderID. I'll type in a comma to type in the next field. The next field I want to see is product ID, which is part of the orders table. So I'll type in orders.productID. We'll type in a comma, and our third field is the name field from the products table. So I'll type in products.name. So that's our select clause. Let's go down to the next line and type in our from clause. Here we're specifying what tables we're pulling from and how they're joined together. We're pulling information from the products table, and that is inner joined to the orders table. Now we have to specify what fields these are joined by. I'm going to type in the word on, and then specify that the join is based off of the product ID in both tables. So in the products.productID is equal to the orders.productID. Let's go ahead and go down to the next line. Now that we've selected our fields from these two tables, we need to specify our criteria. That's going to be where we use a where clause. The where clause is going to specify that the products category is equal to the text wind harvester. So I'll type in products.category. That's the category field in the products table, is equal to, and then quotation marks, wind harvester. Finally, let's apply a sort to our query. I'll come down to the next line and I'll type in order by. And we want to sort these based off of the order ID. So I'm going to type in order.orderID. So that finishes my SQL code. I'm going to press delete a few times to bring the semicolon back up to the top. And I think we're done. By convention, you'll notice that each of these clauses, the select clause, from, where, order by, and the keywords inner join and on are typically all capitalized. Technically, SQL code is case insensitive, so you could choose to not capitalize these if you'd like. It's also white space insensitive, so if you feel like adding in a few more line spaces here will help legibility, then feel free to go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and run our query to see if it works. Now I can see that I'm pulling the order ID and product ID from the orders table and the name from the products table. I have a total of 378 orders for products that are wind harvesters. So now we've just written our first query in structured query language. The more you explore the syntax, the easier it'll become to understand exactly what is going on, and it can really help troubleshoot queries that aren't performing as expected. I highly encourage you to explore the SQL view of some of the queries that we've developed throughout this course to see if you can make sense of the underlying code.